Congratulations for making it to this point. I am so excited for you that you're here, and we are about to dive into this whole launch part of the phase, which is my favorite part of it, besides actually making the music. I love the recording studio, but I also love planning the launch. It's so much fun. And with each album I release, I get better at it, and I feel like I am more confident, and I know what I'm doing, and I can't wait to share this information with you. If I had done what I'm about to tell you from the get-go, I would have had crazy amount of success right at the beginning. So what I'm about to tell you doesn't necessarily matter if you are at ground zero or if you already have a big fan base. Wherever you're at, this is going to help you. This is going to grow your fan base from day one, from the day you launch your music, and it's not going to stop from there. The beautiful thing about the internet is that it's accumulative. Your views on YouTube never go away, they only accumulate, which is awesome, and we can use stuff like that to our advantage. But one thing we do need is momentum. We need momentum happening, and that momentum starts long before our launch day. We are not going to do what all the other artists do, or what many other artists do, which is just release our music, post about it on Facebook, and then wait for sales to roll in. That is not how you do it, and yes, I have done that. And it didn't work very well, and it can be disappointing. And by the way, you can feel like a serious, almost like a depression after your launch day and nothing happens. You're like so excited, and you've been working on this for like forever, it feels like. And you launch it and you have these high hopes, and then, oh, like 3 people liked it. Yay. It can be a huge letdown. And not just that only a few people liked it, but then like you were hoping that maybe you'd kind of get discovered that way. Because I felt like that before. I've done that. And you're just like, well, maybe somebody will hear it, and then I'll get like calls from a record label, or somebody will hear it and then it'll go viral. We have all these kind of ridiculous dreams, no offense, but they are kind of ridiculous. And we're expecting magic to happen when we didn't really put very much forethought or planning or consideration into how to properly launch something. Now, with any other industry, like any other company that launches a product, they put months and months of planning into their launch before they launch it. You know, if like Skittles was releasing a new flavor of Skittle, they are not just going to release it one day and expect to make money. They would make money, but nobody would know about it. It would be like a fluke. Like you walk into a gas station one day and, oh, there's like a watermelon flavor or whatever it is. Cool, but like that's a fluke. I didn't know about it otherwise, unless they had a whole bunch of launching strategies going on beforehand, including commercials, maybe YouTube ads, Facebook ads. They had a Facebook page going, and I got emails from them because I love Skittles so much, and a whole bunch of other things going on that let me know pretty soon there's going to be this new flavor, and they're building up the hype, and they've got some momentum, and I can't wait. And I'm like checking my email every day. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? And you just like, you know, you've got to build some anticipation in the very people that want to hear the music or the Skittle, whatever. And so the way we do that is in a serious planning and launching formula. And what we need to do is we are going to strategize your launch by separating it into phases. And so there are 4 different phases that we're going to focus on. Before anything happens, we are going to look at the first phase, which is the pre-launch. Then there's a pre-launch. Then we have launch day. Then after launch day, we have post-launch and what happens after that. And it's very possible to keep the buzz going and to keep things going all year long. So in the pre-launch, this is what we're talking about right now. This is the phase where we are letting everybody know we're making music. We're writing music right now. We are planning an album. We are raising money. We are, stuff is in the works. And if you already have an existing fan base, they are going to be over the moon excited to just hear that you are writing, you are in music making, in the music making process, and they are eager to know, what does it sound like? What does it sound like? If you don't have much of a following yet, that's okay. You're going to let all your friends and your family members, hey, I only had like 5 people who liked my music, and they were all relatives when I first started out, so that counts. And you're going to let all your social networks know. You're going to, whoever's on your Facebook like page, because you've started one by now, right? Anybody who's following you on there, they're going to know about it. And basically, you're going to write about it on your blog. Anywhere that you are out there publicly, if you are on YouTube, you're going to make a YouTube video saying, guess what? We're in the studio. We're writing music. We're planning a release. And you don't have to give any dates or anything like that, but just tell them stuff is in the works. And that's how we start building your buzz. And so this could be months in advance. This could even be a year in advance, depending on how long it takes you to write and release an album. So that is the first part of our launching phase, is our pre-launch. Okay, other ways that we can build our buzz in our pre-launch phase is we can use things that we're already doing. So if we are launching a crowdfunding campaign, for example, that is the perfect opportunity to gain new fans, get a lot of traction, and get a lot of exposure. And that exposure can lead to a lot of sales. I've gotten tons of crowdfunding money sent to me from brand new fans who never heard of me before. That is pretty amazing, that they would have the trust and the faith that they're going to like my music, they're going to like what I make, that they would actually contribute to my crowdfunding project. And that happened just through word of mouth, through social networks and people sharing my project, and from being on the platform itself. Because guess what? I made it to the front page of the platform using some specific techniques. And I'm going to do a separate video for you just on crowdfunding and all my tips and things that I learned, what not to do and what to do. And that some of the information is information I paid to find out. And it landed me on the front page, and I had a very successful campaign when I did that. So that was very exciting. And I don't know if you're at the point yet where you're going to use crowdfunding in your whole CD release, but if you do, this is the perfect time to build buzz. I mean, you're going to be putting out update videos on YouTube and Instagram. You're going to be using photos and updates anyways on how things are going. So that naturally lends itself to a pre-launch buzz. And it's going to help you gain traction and momentum for the day when you actually launch your music. So crowdfunding is a fantastic way to help you in your pre-launch phase. Another thing we can do is use email and kind of marketing to our existing fan mailing list. Now, I don't know too many people in the music business who tell musicians that they need to build their email list, but let me do you a huge favor. I spent a lot of money on marketing courses and getting training from some very sophisticated people to learn this very simple thing that even they wish that they had known from the beginning. And that is the number one thing you can do in this business, in fact in any business, but especially in the music business, is to build your email list. And it proves to be such a crucial factor when you are in the middle of a launch, especially in your pre-launch, when you start telling your fans who are on your mailing list that you have stuff in the works. They're already, the way we're going to target them, they're already going to be like, take my money. when is the album out? Tell me when is it coming out? And they're going to be begging you to release this music. So this is the perfect way to also help build your buzz, is to kind of build excitement in your pre-existing fans that you have in your email list. And I'll give you some examples later on of the specific things you can say to them. But so far we have crowdfunding and we have email. We can also use our pre-existing social media platforms. Now this is just kind of obvious thing that we should be doing, but I want you to make a focused effort on releasing information specifically and strategically about the fact that you are about to make a new CD, that you're working on things, you're in the studio, you're writing, you are considering the dates and maybe what your song titles are going to be, and you're going to use all the social media platforms that you use. One little side note is I personally only like to dominate 2 platforms at a time. And I spend quite a bit of my time on those 2 platforms rather than spending 5 minutes on 20 different platforms. So typically you will only see me post on a couple, and I might have a couple others automated where my messages on those platforms also go to other platforms. That's one way of doing it. Some people don't like that, but for me, that's what's working, and it's saving me time, and I'm also reaching those fans that are on those platforms. So if you're like me and you just need to save a bit of time, do your updates like that. You can use a website. One recently that I joined is called Meet Edgar, meetedgur.com, I believe, Meet Edgar, and it's a social media scheduling tool. And we can talk more about this later on in a different context, but since we're on the topic right now, it's just a way that you can create a schedule for social media posts, and you plan them ahead of time in different categories. So one category you could create is pre-launch content, and it could be, you could upload a whole bunch of your Instagram photos that you took when you were in the studio, and you could launch one at a time, say 1 a day for 2 weeks, or one every few days for 2 months. But the point is that you're releasing content, you're kind of dripping content as you're going through your writing process, and so you're reminding people there's music coming, there's a release coming, don't forget about me, and that's how you kind of build a little bit of a buzz. So using some automated systems, and even if you just go into Facebook, you can schedule your content ahead of time. So that's another way to do it. And you can just upload your photos and your statuses. You can do it up the whole 9 yards, and then schedule the day and the time. And I think they let you go maybe even up to a year. You can schedule them ahead of time. It's kind of nuts, but I highly recommend doing that. It'll save you some time, but it's a nice strategic way to go, instead of like panicking, like, oh, did I post something today? Do I post something tomorrow? Did I post today already? Instead of feeling like a little bit panicky and like all over the map about it, which I totally get is easy to do, why not just be a little more planned about it and strategic, and then it's not going to be so stressful, and you've already got it taken care of, and you can check it off your list, and I've done that, I'm doing it, it's going to work. And so that's another great way to build your pre-launch buzz. Well, we are in the pre-launch phase, and this is really exciting because now the momentum has started, and we are now in the planning phase of starting to actually promote the album. So I love this part. It's starting to feel real, or kind of surreal at times, and like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm actually here. I'm actually starting to promote this, and this is going to happen. This is going to be soon. Now it's just like a matter of time, and launch day is going to be here, and the whole world is going to hear my music. So very exciting. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to update our bio, our biography. And so the reason I put things in a certain order is because we're going to update our bio now, but see, if we don't have a website or a platform to update it to, then that doesn't really help much. So I hope by now that you have already got a website up and running, you have your platform or your shop where you can sell your digital music and your physical merchandise, you have maybe a blog, and you have a Facebook page, and so you have some places that you are going to update your information to. So now we're going to work on our biography. This biography is going to really grab the attention of new fans and old fans. We're going to have 3 different biographies that you can use over and over again for different purposes. We're going to have an ultra short biography, like a 1-sentence bio. And this is going to go in places like Twitter and maybe YouTube and maybe on our website. It's going to go to a number of different places where we need a really short summary that is punchy, gets the attention of people, and it also describes you really accurately so that they know in 1 sentence what you're all about, and it just tells them everything they need to know. We're going to have a medium-sized biography, and that's going to go on maybe like Facebook. And actually, they give a couple of places for a short bio and a medium or a longer bio, so that's a good place to have both things there. And then I would put your longer bio on your website, where people are really more interested in reading more in depth about your background, where you come from, and how you got into what you're doing. And so I'm going to take you through a series of questions, and you can print out your worksheet because I've put them there for you as well, and you can follow along or just listen now and be thinking about it and go work on it later when you've got some peace and quiet and can just kind of mull it all over. Now, I'm going to be honest, I hate writing my bio. It feels totally weird and just like, I don't know, like I feel like an egomaniac or something. I don't know. It's weird, right? Like bragging about yourself in third person. Leah is so amazing and she's had all these accomplishments. Like, that's just weird. I don't like it. And I have had other people write it for me because I was like, okay, here's my information. Could you write something up about me? Because I don't enjoy this. And they have, but you know, I think you know your music better than anybody else. And I think you can probably describe it better than anyone else. And someone else's perspective it might be refreshing, but it also might not quite describe it the way you would. And so let's just start with you writing it. And if you absolutely think you're terrible, or maybe you're not great with grammar or something, you can always hire somebody on Fiverr or Upwork, or have a friend who's good at English to write it for you. Just make it smooth out the kinks. Totally fine. And also, I wanted just to let you know, we're going to be using this bio for our press release that we're going to schedule, and we'll have fun talking about that as well. So we're going to use a lot of different purposes for these bios. So let's go through the questions now, and we'll take it one at a time. One thing I just want to tell you before you start writing is that these are not in any particular order, and we're not going to worry about having them sound super professional right away. We just want to write down our answers, and then we're going to tweak them. And we're going to put them in the right order, in the right format later on. So just take the pressure off of yourself and just write the answer. Just write whatever comes to mind, and then we'll make it better later. The first question is, what is your musical background? How did you get into music, and how did you end up doing what you're doing right now? This is going to help us start to define your background a little bit, and we're going to pick 1 or 2 interesting facts about you to include in your bio. So just write anything that you can think of that pertains to your background and how you got to do what you're doing right now and how you got to be working on this project. The second question is, what are some of your accomplishments? So this is a place where you're going to brag a little bit, just anything you can think of. Even if it's just like, you know, I've been singing since I was 3 years old. That's an accomplishment. That's something that tells us a little bit about your background. It tells us that you've been doing it your whole life. It's not something that everybody can say. So include anything like that. Any awards or talent shows that you've done. Absolutely anything you can think of, as trivial as it might be, just write it down. The next question is, what is the project you're currently working on, and what is your band's story? So this is going to be talking about, obviously, how you formed a band. Maybe it was a funny story or something. So any details you can give about that, just write it all down. The next question is, what is the name of your band, and how did you come up with that name, and where are you from? Next question, how would you describe your genre, and what makes you a little bit different? Next question is, what is your genre, and what makes you a little bit different? So now is a great time to tell about your little twist that you have on your umbrella genre. What makes you stand out different from everybody else? Just describe as best you can here, and make it fun if you want. Describe in as few words as possible is always good, but for now, just get out your thoughts and be as descriptive as possible. Have you had any notable success so far? Tell us about anything you've released so far, any other albums you have, singles, what kind of reactions you've gotten from fans, maybe even a quote or two. Now is a great place also to brag a little bit. And the last question for this is, what are your hopes and dreams in music? What do you hope to accomplish? Where do you see yourself, say, in 5 years from now? What do you hope to accomplish maybe for your genre? Maybe it's not very well known and your goal is to help more people in your hometown become aware of this genre and that kind of thing. So just tell us all about that. Okay, after you've formulated all your answers and you've written out all your thoughts, now we're going to start to tweak it a little bit, do some editing, and we're going to eventually sort it into a really short bio and a little bit more of a lengthy one, a medium size and maybe a longer one. So at first, let's just look back at our answers when you've done that, and we're going to come up with a one-sentence bio. So you're going to look at some of the words you've already written down, specifically the ones that mention your band name, where you're from, and your genre. I think those are the three most important things that people want to know. In this short bio, we want to quickly and concisely state who we are and what we're all about. So my one-liner, for example, is, Leah McHenry is a Canadian symphonic metal artist with a Celtic and world twist. Boom. I told them my name, I told them I'm Canadian, I told them my genre and subgenre, symphonic metal, so it's not just metal, it's symphonic metal, with a Celtic and world twist. And I even used the word twist, so they know it's not the main thing, but there's a hint of it there. And so that's a lot of information in one sentence, and they could probably think to themselves, well, that intrigues me, or it doesn't. And so there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with either someone deciding they want to learn more or they don't. I think that's a better thing, rather than attracting a whole bunch of people who don't really care. I'd rather attract people who are really intrigued and buy all my music the same day they listen to it. Feel free to work on this one sentence bio for as many times as you need. You might need to rewrite it and erase it and rewrite it again, or have like 5 different ones handy and ready for you. Maybe write them up in a Google Doc and then keep it in your Dropbox or just in your Google Drive. So whenever you need a new one or a fresh one or something slightly different, you've got a few to choose from. That's never a bad idea. For your medium to long bio, we're going to include more of that information we initially wrote down, and we're just going to expand on it a little bit, and we're going to edit it and really mostly include the relevant pieces of information that sound the best and flow really well together. We're just going to give more information on those particular things. We are going to focus on 5 questions that are going to help us put this bio together, and you might be kind of familiar with it from maybe like English class back in high school, you know, when you learn to write an essay or a story or something. And I like to use this for a bio. And we're just going to ask the questions who, what, when, where, and why. And I've broken this down in your worksheet as to how we're going to apply those questions in your bio. And together, that combined with the answers we previously have, it'll be a lot easier to compose a really awesome bio. Let's talk for a minute now about a press release. This is one of those reasons we need an awesome bio. It's got to be killer and have both a one-sentence dynamic bio, and then we also need a longer one because we're going to include extra couple pieces of content to go with it in our press release. Now, you might be wondering about a press release and what that means for you, and it kind of sounded scary when I was first getting into music and like, what do you mean a press release? And I don't know, like, what all does that involve? Basically, what it involves is hiring a company who has a whole bunch of contacts, and they have a giant list of contacts, and these contacts include magazines, webzines, all kinds of websites, just all different kinds of platforms that are music related and specifically related to, hopefully, your genre. Now, when you write a press release and they send this out, you've pre-scheduled the day that they're going to send this out, and it goes out to everybody on their list. And then that's going to help you build a buzz. This is going to get you a lot of exposure. The goal of a press release is exposure. And sometimes you can make a lot of sales from a press release, but that's not the main goal we're going for at this point. We are still in our pre-launch phase, but we need our bio put together so that we can write up our press release and get it all ready to go. And we want to do that. We don't want to do it the day before. We don't want to do it a week before. We'd like to have something put together and ready for whenever we decide we need to do one. But I want you to contact a few press release companies. You're going to Google press release companies in music, and hopefully you can find one in your genre. There are some that might do multiple genres, but the important part is if they have the right contacts for your genre. You don't want to send out a press release about your rock album if they mostly focus on country. Don't do it. It's going to be a waste of money. Nobody in country music cares about our rock album, at least most people. Not the magazines. So we want to focus on a press release company that focuses on our genre, and then we're going to write up our press release and include our bio. We're going to include some extra information. We're going to include some quotes. We're going to give them a graphic. We're going to give them links. We're going to tell them all the information and the juicy details that they want to know. And this is going to get sent out to those magazines. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to cost you some money. This is not one of those free things. Yes, you can do it yourself, but I don't recommend that you do it yourself. It's going to be a huge headache, and you will not reach as much people as a press release company. You just won't. I mean, you know me by now. I don't beat around the bush. I'm just going to tell you, save yourself the headache. Hire a proper PR company, and they will do this work for you. Now, a lot of times they might have different packages. So, for X amount of dollars, we'll get you to these many magazines and these many outlets. And for X amount of dollars, we'll get you even more. So do what you can afford. And I recommend go do as much as you can possibly afford, because this is going to help you. This is how you're going to get all kinds of album reviews and interviews before you even release your album. So with this PR company, when you hire them, you're going to give them your contact info, and they should ask you, okay, if we get replies to this and people want to know where they can review your music, who should I direct them to, or what contact info should I send them? And you're going to tell them, well, email me this here, this is my number. And so a proper PR company will ask you that for that information, so definitely give it out, and hopefully you're going to get some really cool attention. And what's amazing about being able to get reviews done before your release date is that is a huge part of building your buzz long before you've even released the album on launch day. That's going to get people so excited. Thousands of new people are going to hear your hear all about your upcoming release. And it's also a smart idea, can I say right now, that you organize the press release to come out the same day that you release your first single. So a press release might happen, say, 2 weeks before your actual release date. And if you're extra spiffy, it's also the same day as your pre-order release date. So the same day that you are releasing your album for pre-orders, people can pay for it before it actually is released, is the same day your single comes out, and the same day people can go to your website and purchase all that, and it's the same day that you are going to release this press release. And so if you organize it all in this kind of fashion, they are going to read this release, they're going to click on the links, and they're going to go buy your CD before it even comes out because they just heard the single and it's amazing. So this all works together, as you can see. Now that might sound like a lot of information, a lot of things to think through and work through, but I want you to rewind this and just go over as many times. I've got a worksheet for you. Don't worry, it's all there, it's all planned out. But again, this takes a little bit of planning out, and that's why we're doing this ahead of time so that you don't have to freak out and you're not going to stress out, and it's going to all go very smoothly for you. So now let's talk about the next part of this press release. So I've got everything for you in your worksheet, so you're going to work through it. After you've done your bio, then you're going to work on this press release worksheet, and I've included everything that you need that they're going to ask you for, and if they need any additional information, it's going to be really easy for you to come up with it because we've already done the work. So you're going to need an exciting title, and I've included some examples for you to look at on your worksheet so you can see what I mean, but something obviously that's going to catch their attention, so it's not like, oh, another country album, or oh, another rock. I mean, try to make it exciting. And they want it to be exciting too because they don't want to be known as a boring PR company. So it's a win-win to come up with an exciting title. You're going to need your biography, a short one, not the long one. We're going to do a short one, maybe one paragraph. We're going to have your release, what it's all about, what's different about it, any attention that it's gotten. We're going to give them a picture of it so they're going to see the cover art. They are going to have links to where it goes to. If you're doing a crowdfunding campaign, by the way, you can also do a press release when you do your crowdfunding campaign. I also did that. It really helped. And you're going to include any other additional information, the date of the release, and any other relevant information. So it's going to be fairly easy to put together, as you can see, after you've done your bio, because you already have so much information already there for you, and it's going to be a piece of cake. Okay, well, we are getting to the end of this section on our pre-launch. Now, I just want to say, before you send out that press release, I'm going to include here a checklist to make sure you've got everything organized and everything is working. We want to make sure that all your links are live the day you send out your press release. And this includes your press release for your pre-orders. So if you've organized your press release and everything in such a way so that your press release goes out, they can either download or buy or hear your first single, they can buy or pre-order your album, and they might be able to pre-order merchandise from you as well. So maybe they're going to order a bundle, like a CD and t-shirt bundle from your Bandcamp site. We want to make sure everything is ready to go. So your t-shirts are stocked, you've got your CDs in hand. You don't want to wait to have your CDs like 2 days before the release. That's not good. You don't want to do that. I've done that. So make sure your CDs are in hand, all your merchandise, if you're doing posters or postcards or something like that, that you've got everything. You want to make sure that your links are good to go. If you have done, say you're releasing a single and you're putting it on YouTube, make sure on YouTube that you've got your link all set up and ready to go, that links back to Bandcamp or iTunes or wherever you're selling your CD. So you want to make sure that on all your platforms, on your website, on Facebook, your post that I hope you pre-scheduled ahead of time on your social media, your links that are in your press release itself, your links on YouTube and any other platforms, that they're all ready to go. Now, you haven't published anything yet. It's just ready to go. It's updated. You know they're working. You've clicked on them. You've made sure that they go to where they're supposed to go. And on YouTube, for example, if you're going to put like a lyric video, if that's what you're going to release these 2 weeks before, you make sure that it's all tagged properly and everything's good there. And so nothing's published. And on YouTube, you can actually just keep it hidden or unpublished or unlisted so that nobody can actually find it until the day you want them to find it. So all of these things are important. There's a lot of details to think about. I know it's a little overwhelming, but it's so much better to think about it now than to think about it the day of and then freak out and realize, oh my goodness, all these links aren't working and they go to the wrong place and that person's complaining, and trust me, you'll have a heart attack if you do that. Don't do that. So I'm going to have a checklist for you so we can relax and just enjoy the day of the press release. Enjoy that couple of weeks where you're getting pre-orders, where they're rolling in and it's so much fun and you're relaxed because everything is ordered and you've got your ducks in a row. So congratulations for making it to the pre-launch phase, and we're going to move into the actual launch day and how exciting that is.